Hello, this is the first day of the solids unit, and we're going to talk about spheres, okay, which are kind of like a ball, okay. My surface area formula is 4 pi r squared, and my volume formula is 4/3 pi r cubed. So your only unknown is your r. So that's the only thing you need to plug into the formula. Just for pure ease, we're going to leave these in terms of pi, okay? Because then it's a little bit less calculations for us. So the very first thing you want to do is look at what they give you, and my radius is 7, right? And that's the only thing I need. So I'm going to do 4 times pi times 7 squared, which is 49. So my answer to this is going to be 49 times 4, which is 196 pi. If you need to put it in terms of pi, that's in terms of pi, okay? And we're going to do inches squared because area is squared and volume is cubed. Area is squared, volume is cubed. Area is squared, volume is cubed. Area is squared, volume is always cubed. You just have to memorize that, okay? And if I want to put the 196 times pi, if I use the pi button in my calculator, it is, trying to remember where it is. It's the arrow button above division. Okay, so if you use the pi button here, it's this blue, you're going to do second pi. So I'm going to do 196 pi, and I'm going to hit enter, and I get 615.75 inches squared. So this is rounded to hundredths. This is leaving in terms of pi. And you want to put the units every single time. This one is 4/3 times pi times 7 cubed. So 7 to the third is 343. Okay. Times 4 divided by 3 is 457.3 repeating. So 3 was pi inches squared, or we're going to multiply this times pi times second pi, and you get 1,436.76 inches cubed. This is cubed, sorry, right? Volume is cubed, area is squared. Okay? So those are those two. This is how you might see it on a standardized test or a SAT, SOL, ACT, any kind of practice problem like that. Okay? So a sphere is 2 inches. So I'm going to do my sphere. I have two shapes here. I have my sphere, and it has a 2-inch radius. So a 2-inch radius. So my R is 2. I'm going to put a block around that. And it's packed in a cube. So my second formula is cube. Okay. And the formula for cube, and we're going to say blah, 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 how much space. So whenever you say how much, you're always going to use the volume formula. You have to figure out which formula you're going to use. How much space, how much water does it hold, how much will it take to fill. A fish tank is 3/4 full. That's all volume, okay? And my formula for cube is the volume is side cube. The formula for the volume of a sphere is up here, is 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so my radius is 2 here, so I can just plug that right in here. So I'm going to take my calculator, and I'm going to go 4 divided by 3 times pi times 2 to the third power. And I get 33.51 inches cubed, okay? Now I need to find my side of my cube. So if this radius is 2, and this is my center, what's this radius down here going to be? 2. So then what's the edge of my cube going to be? I'm going to add those two together, 2 plus 2. So that side is 4, and this side is 4, and this side is 4, and that's where you get this side cubed. It's also the volume of a Prism, any kind of prism is length times width times height. And in this case, my 4 are all my length, width, and height. And that's why it's s cubed. So this is going to be 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 to the third power is 64 inches cubed. Now the question says how much empty space is left. So if the ball takes up this much space and the cube takes up this much space, let's say it's a glass basketball trophy that I want to send to somebody. I want to make sure it doesn't get broken. How much of those packing peanuts do I need to buy to fill the rest of the space? That's what the question is kind of asking. So I'm going to actually subtract the ball from the cube. So 64 minus 33.51. Sorry, 64 minus 33.51. Don't forget the decimal. Is 30.49 inches cubed. And that is your answer. Whoops, 30.49 inches cubed. Okay, so this is how you might see the spheres. I'm going to flip, and we're going to do this ones on the back. If you printed this out, great. If you don't have a printer at home, that's fine. You can just follow along, or you can copy the problems. Now, this one, we are going to find the radius and the surface area of a sphere with the volume 288 pi. So whenever they give you this, I like to say volume equals 288 pi, and then all you have to do is substitute the formula in for the V. And then you have to do your basic algebra 1. I'm going to multiply everything by 3/4 and get rid of my fractions so I don't have some ugly fractions. I'm going to have pi r cubed. And when I put 288 times 3 divided by 4 in my calculator, 288 times 3 divided by 4, you can just put it in your calculator just like that, right? I get 216. So this is 216 pi. There's pi's on both sides. What happens when you divide anything by itself? You get 1. So I get r cubed equals 216. Now, I need to find r. So how do I get rid of my cube? The opposite of cubing something is taking the cubed root. The opposite of cubing something is taking the cubed root. And that you can find here, okay? I'm going to go math, and the cubed root is number 4. Math, and I'm going to type 216 in there, and I get 6. Okay, so to find the cubed root, I go math, and it's the 4th one down. Okay. Second quit. So my R is 6. Then it wanted the surface area. So all I'm going to do is remember that formula from the front. I also put the geometry formula sheet that the SOL gives you on your Google Classrooms. You might want to print that at home so you have a copy of it, or maybe take a picture of it with your phone so you have it when you go to do homework, or just copy the formulas down. Every time you write them down, it helps you memorize them. So I'm going to plug my R in here, and I get 36 times 4, and I get 144 pi, or 144 times pi is 452.39. We don't have units. Let's say inches squared. Okay, let's call this inches. Let's say this is 288 pi inches cubed. All right. Now, this one's a good one. We have a scoop of ice cream. So I have a scoop of ice cream on top of my cone. Now, we haven't talked about cones yet, but the cone formula, all you're doing here is plugging in your R and your H. The only thing I need here is my R. So you always want to look at a formula and say, what are my unknowns? My unknown here is R. My unknown here is R and H. So I need to find those 3 things, and then I can just plug them in. A scoop of ice cream with the diameter of 6. So diameter is my whole thing. So 6 divided by 2 would give me my radius of 3. My ice cream cone has an R of 3. Centimeters. Okay, so this is centimeters. It is placed in a cone with a diameter of 5. So if my cone down here has a diameter of 5, 5 divided by 2, my R is going to be 2.5. And a height of 10. That means this up and down height is 10. And this is 2.5. Okay, now I can just plug into my formula. 4 thirds pi 3 to the third. And I'm going to do the whole thing, 4 divided by 3 times pi. I'm going to put the whole thing in my calculator at once. Times 3 to the caret 3. And I just can plug it right in my calculator, exactly what I have on my paper here, right? And hit enter. And I get 113.097. So it's going to be 113.10 centimeters cubed. Okay, that's my ice cream cone. If I don't lick any of it, that's how much space it's going to take up. Okay, now I need my cone. I'm going to do 1/3 pi, 2.5 squared times 10. All right, so now I'm going to go to my volume here, and I'm going to 1 divided by 3 times pi times 2.5 squared times 10. Make sure I typed it in right, and I get 65.4498, which would round to 458 centimeters cubed. So now this is where you have to answer the question here. My ice cream, if it all melts, will take up 113.10 centimeters cubed. My ice cream cone can hold 65.45 centimeters cubed. So the question says, is the cone big enough to hold all of the ice cream if it all melts? And your answer to that is what? Is this big enough to hold all of that? No. Okay? So now, hopefully you're going to lick most of it off, right? So if it all melts, it will hold a portion of it. Yeah? We good with that? That's how you might see all the questions on spheres. That is it for spheres. You're going to go do homework 0 in your Google Classroom.